Hey, what's going on, everybody? Thanks for joining me. I don't have a fishing episode this time, but I'm gonna be talking about just how much the Tampa Bay area has changed over the last couple decades, and this tends to bring a lot of nostalgia in me. So I'll probably end up talking a lot in this video. Um, it's just so incredible how much Tampa Bay has changed over the last 2 decades. So I'm going to be talking about that. But first, let me allow myself to introduce myself to you. I'm Ori Main, and I've been fishing ever since I was just young. It's a long time. Yeah. Way before I started YouTube, I was doing fishing. Um, the story that I give to people when they ask me how did I get into fishing, I'll share with you. Basically, I was just a young boy, and I remember I was out with my dad and some of his buddies, and we were wade fishing in the Tampa Bay area. I wasn't wading. I was too small, so I couldn't wade. I was in a inflatable raft that was tied around my dad's waist, and I was just sitting in that. And I was catching fish after fish after fish right there in the Fort DeSoto area. And that last fish I hooked was a 34-inch cobia, and I was in a raft tied around my dad's waist. And man, that ever since that day, I've been hooked on fishing. So you could say that cobia hooked me more than anything else. So that's how I got into fishing. That was the first fish I could remember catching, and it's just stayed with me for the rest of my life. Until this day, it's caught up with me. Um, so yeah, that's how I got started into fishing. I started YouTube about 3 years ago now, I want to say. But I actually started fishing really heavily in 2011 and 2012. I fished before that, way before that, but I started fishing heavily in 2011, 2012, just going out in the boat and stuff, you know, once a week. That's about all I could average, sometimes less, because how the weather and stuff goes, it doesn't allow you to get out too much. But I did a lot of near shore fishing and stuff. And there was also years between fishing that I took breaks and stuff. But then when I got back into YouTube, when I'm sorry, not got back into YouTube, when I got into YouTube, I started fishing really heavily again. And here I am. So that's my story and up until this point. But what I really would like to share is just how much the Tampa Bay fishery has changed over the course of 2 decades. I mean, that's all I'm gonna go back is over the course of 2 decades, because, man, it is just unbelievable how much this fishery has changed. So I'm gonna be sharing some stories. I'm probably gonna be talking a lot in this video, and just sharing some good memories. I'm also gonna be talking about some ways Tampa Bay has not changed in a good way, and this is gonna apply to you whether you fish. You're a land-based fisherman. You're a watercraft fisherman. Tampa Bay has changed in a dramatic way, and it has affected you. And if you have been fishing for a long time, you have seen these changes. So let's get into that real quick. All right, guys. So one of the first things that comes to my mind is the on land-based fishing. I could remember a time back when there used to be two sides of the Skyway Bridge. Okay, now there's only one side on each Skyway. So there's before you now, or I should say now, you see one side of the Skyway fishing pier that's always empty and nobody's allowed to drive on it and stuff. You used to be able to fish that, and that applies to the north side and the south side. There also used to be, oh, and this one stings me a lot. Reddington Long Pier. Let me know down below if you remember good old Reddington Long Pier. They dropped the ball big time on not rebuilding that pier. I wish they had rebuilt that pier. Good old times at the Reddington Long Pier. Some great old times. If you remember that pier, comment down a fishing story that you have and let me know. Would love to read some fishing stories in the comment section below. The Reddington Long Pier, shoot, I think that was about a 300-foot pier, and right off Reddington Beach there, and you used to be able to catch tarpon, king mackerel. I remember always in I think it was around September and October and stuff. I used to go out there and you see huge migrational schools of redfish and black drum. You just drop a bait straight down below the pier in those months and you used to be able to boom redfish. Everybody was getting redfish out there. That was a great pier, and it's really, really sad to see it go. Gandy Bridge. Man, I wish they had rebuilt the Reddington Long Pier. But back to like places that we've lost, unfortunately. Gandy Bridge. There used to be a boardwalk along Gandy Bridge. There used to be a north boardwalk, and there used to be a south boardwalk, or I should say, an east boardwalk and a west boardwalk on each side of the bridge that you could walk and fish. And I remember back in the day, and that's no longer there anymore, unfortunately, either. So it's sad to see that go. But back in the day, when I was younger, you used to see tarpon rolling out there in certain months. And what I remember most was I would drive over there, and this was a really, really long boardwalk. I mean, you could walk it for it was like a mile walk. It was big. Both sides were really big. But so what I would do was I would drive up there, and I would have a surface lure, and at certain times of the year on the I believe it was the outgoing tides, I would just walk down that boardwalk. Most of the time I was running down it, sprinting down it. There would be huge schools of Jack Crevalles, and these were the big boys. These weren't small boys. These were the bruisers, you know. I just I'd look for them while I was walking down that pier, and I saw that surface just spraying with those jacks. I'd run up there, and just whoosh, I'd just throw that lure at them, and I'd just start just burning that lure back to me, right? And you see all these jacks and boom, 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 just coming up and smashing the lure and stuff. Man, it was good old times. That was fun, and that was something I did year after year. It's sad to see that those bridges have that's gone and that's no longer around. The St. Pete Pier is another one that's no longer around. I know what you're gonna say. Oh no, there is a St. Pete Pier around. Look, guys, that St. Pete Pier that's there now is a fraction of what the old pier used to be, guys. You can only fish on the very end of that new St. Pete Pier now. The old pier, of course, this new pier looks nicer and stuff, but the old pier, you used to be able to fish around that entire pier. You used to be able to fish around the entire pier. There was no restrictions on fishing the end caps of the pier. Like, so, I mean, as a fisherman, it was just a much, much better pier, the St. Pete Pier. And I can remember going out there with my boys and stuff, my friends would go out there, we'd have a 12-pack of beer, we'd be having a good time and stuff, man. My boy, Brandon, he ended up catching a couple tarpon out there and stuff, man. That was a good tarpon spot. But what I remember most is I used to take a lure, right? I used to take a lure, not too big, just like a mirror lure, and I would just cast it about 15 feet behind me, and I would just walk down and around the pier, just trolling that plug, 20 feet behind me. I'd be passing by all those pilings, and boom, I just get a huge snook doing that. And it was a very, very consistent method. I remember that. Man, good old times. It's sad to see that pier go. It's sad to see that you can't fish around the whole entire thing anymore. That's why I haven't really like messed around with it too much. But I mean, the area is still great. But as a fishing pier and stuff, it's really just 1/10 of what it used to be, and that's just the truth as an angler. Unfortunately, the Passagrille. You can't fish on Passagrille Jetty anymore. I know you can still fish around and next to Passagrille Jetty, but the actual jetty's closed. So, that used to be another favorite of mine. Oh yeah, I remember I used to skip first and second period to go there. We'd cast pompano jigs and stuff. Everybody would kind of like line up at the beginning on an incoming tide, and the tide would be going around like this. People cast their pompano jigs back and pop it and just kind of work their way around. Everybody take their turns going around the pier, and we get mackerel, ladyfish, pompano. That was an amazing little jetty there. And they say that they're going to be rebuilding it, but they've been saying that for a decade now, and they still haven't restructured it and reinforced it. So I don't think, unfortunately, I don't think that one's coming back either. So yeah, I mean, that we have lost over time. We have lost so many fishing spots. A lot of the bridges, unfortunately, they don't want you fishing off of them anymore either. So if you're a land-based fisherman, Tampa Bay has definitely changed so much. I don't want to say the fishery's gotten worse. It's probably gotten a lot more pressured, but it's hard to notice that too, because your experience as an angler is constantly you're getting better as an angler. Your experience is constantly going up, so that recompensates for things. So as to whether the fishery is better or not better, I don't know, but I could say it's a much less accessible fishery in Tampa Bay for land-based fishing. There's just no doubt about that. If you do land-based fishing, it's much harder to fish in Tampa Bay now than it used to be, and you got to really like know where to go and stuff, because it can be hard if you just try to drive up to a spot and try to fish off. It's definitely not like it used to be. So well, guys, one thing I forgot to mention was I remember one time I was out there at Paso Grill, and I was shark fishing at night. It was a dark sky, not a cloud in the sky. You could see all the stars and stuff, and I was out there shark fishing, and we saw some commotion at the surface of the water, and you can slightly see out there because of the little illumination from the street lights and stuff. And I saw this huge tarpon being chased down the beach by this absolute monster hammerhead. It was crazy. I don't think he ended up catching him from what I saw. Who knows what happened later, but I think the tarpon did get away. But that was just something that so I've seen a tarpon go after a hammerhead twice, but that was the first time I saw it. The second time I did experience it, the tarpon didn't get so lucky and it got eaten. But yeah, that I just remember that it burned into my memory for life. All right, guys, and now let's get into how Tampa Bay has changed for those who are going out on boats and stuff. Mainly that's what I did before I started my channel, And that's the reason why, if you look at the beginning of my channel, the first year, most of my content is like near shore fishing, somewhat offshore fishing and stuff, because I was doing basically what I knew to do. And so I hit offshore, I'd say like 1 to 15 miles out, I was doing that a lot. So, but wow, that one has really, really, really changed also. It's just mind blowing how much that has changed. Um, I could remember a time when the like red groupers, for example, bottom fishing has changed so much in Tampa Bay. Um, I can remember a time where we used to go out, right? And this was back in I would say 2011, 2013. Um we would go out into 55 feet of water, right? And we would max out on red groupers, right? We would, like, the groupers now at 55 feet of water, they're all dinks and stuff. But back then, yeah, we could go to 55 feet of water, and the first two drops down, for every person, you would get a keeper grouper up. I mean, you would max out instantly. And that was the same whether you had whether you were just fishing by yourself or you were fishing with four other people. I never brought four people on my boat, so if I was fishing four people, I took them to my spot, and then we all would max out on groupers in 55 feet of water. And it's just not like that anymore. I'll talk to people now, and they'll, oh, so how'd you do today? Oh, we did good, but all we got was the shorts. Unfortunately, we need to go out further. How far'd you go out? Oh, we went out to just 90 feet of water. What? 90 feet? You didn't go out far enough. Holy crap. But Jesus, that is the truth, guys. That's just how it is. Those fish just aren't there anymore. They are deep. I mean, they are really deep. You have to go out far for those red groupers now and stuff. And before, in that, like I said, that 55-foot plus range, those red groupers that we were getting, right? We were getting them between, now the limit was always 2 fish per person, and it had to be 20 inches, and our fish were averaging 22 to 26 inches. Now, I mean, just forget about finding a keeper red grouper in that range at that depth. I mean, it's very, very, very hard. But so I that makes me think, like, about the fishing regulations and stuff. I know a lot of people say that they're too strict on regulations and stuff, but I just don't know, because yeah, I mean, you might not believe this if you haven't been fishing Tampa Bay for a long time, but maybe you have been and you know what I'm talking about. It was different. It was very different. You did not have to do these crazy runs to get to bigger fish and stuff, to get those bigger groupers. It is just completely different. So those guys are going out far now and stuff. Otherwise, I would be putting out more grouper content and stuff, because I have a lot of spots, back in that depth range, because I used to fish it so much. But I'm not taking my boat out to 90 plus feet of water, 100 feet of water, especially if I'm only going to get shorts and stuff. I don't want to do that. So, I've been forced into making some changes myself and stuff. But you got to keep up with those changes. Otherwise, you're left scratching your head, and you're wondering what is going on. A quick fun story I can remember. I was out there on my red grouper spot. I was with my pops, and I kind of feel bad about it now, but looking back at it, we were not humble at all about it. It was my pops, he dropped down a banana peel down to the bottom, and he pulled up a keeper red grouper. Like, that's how ridiculously easy it was. These fish were just stacked up on those spots. Yeah, the keeper red grouper on a banana peel. Talking about being humble and stuff, Now I look back at it and I'm like, oh man, sometimes we would run out to that spot just to save the day and stuff because it was just so easy. But definitely looking back at it, I wish I appreciated the spot more. But we just had good times and stuff on it, and I miss it. But I mean, those fish aren't there anymore, and but we've, you know, there's also some good changes too, like you know, the there's for example the technology now is a lot different. It helps the average angler find more fish. You got the mapping, we got the sonar technology with the side scan and stuff. um I still use old school ways of when I'm using my sonar. I'll double the range and turn it into turn the settings on manual, and I'll look for a second hard echo to come in. And I'll know I'm running over some hard bottom, especially when I'm running at fast speeds because that screen tends to be more compressed. So you find more hard bottom that way when you're just when you're running the boat a little bit faster. But I got off track there. Um, One thing that has really changed is the usage of tackle and stuff, and that's kind of evolved over time. There's a lot more jigs and stuff now, different types of jigs. Um, I don't ever remember really hogfish being so popular as it is now. Hogfishing has just exploded in popularity. Um, I think the consensus back in the day was that you couldn't really catch them, but people learned to catch them, and I have a few on my channel, and yeah, that has really changed. They have all the different types of jigs and stuff, so there's a more wide variety of fish. Um, Gag groupers and stuff have rebounded big time. Um, there was less gag groupers back then than there is now. I feel now that I catch more gag groupers than I do red groupers, and back in the day, I caught more red groupers than I did gag groupers. But that's also going to be highly dependent on the types of spots you fish. I was fishing more like flat, hard bottoms and stuff. If you want to get red groupers, fish those hard flat bottoms that are long. You drift those and you should run into plenty of red groupers, grunts, porgies, scamp groupers doing stuff like that. And then those gag groupers and stuff are going to be like on ledges and reefs and rock piles and stuff like that. But those red groupers definitely stack up on like those Swiss cheese bottoms and stuff in good numbers. um Kingfish. Kingfish is a very highly migratorial fish, but I feel like back in the day, it used to be easier to catch a kingfish. I feel like they're more dialed into certain areas. Not like every year is different, and they're very highly migratorial, so they can be on one spot one day and then be off of it the next day. But I felt like they were more spread out back in the day. There was less guesswork to finding them. I could remember we'd almost always get a kingfish on every trip. Not always one of the big, huge smokers and stuff, but we'd always at least get a schoolie, just throwing a free line out off the back. And, that didn't matter whether it was springtime or summertime or wintertime. If you were out far enough, you could get a kingfish all year round. Like I said, we weren't getting like huge kingfish and stuff, but we'd always have like a kingfish pass by and strike the free line, and sometimes a nice sized one. But the spring and the fall was always definitely the best times for them, and we still get good kingfish runs and stuff, but I personally don't feel they're as numerous as they used to. Tarpon fishing is tarpon fishing has probably gotten better, honestly, because there's more tarpon now than there used to be. The problem is that the popularity of tarpon fishing and stuff, and the most effective way to go out and get a tarpon is to go out in the fishing in the pass. If you want to catch tarpon, the easiest way to do it is go in the pass. Those fish go to Bean Point to feed, and that's where you're going to get them. But tarpon fishing has just exploded in popularity. So it's hard to just enjoy it anymore going out on that pass. I've been forced to change my tarpon fishing ways and stuff. But back in the day, I used to just go in the pass. I used to go in the pass by myself and hook up to a tarpon. I'd throw, I have a life vest attached to my anchor rope. And when I hooked up, I would just throw the rope and the life vest over, and I'd just kind of drift out of the way of the other fishermen, and I'd reel in my tarpon. And there wasn't nowhere near the amount of boats that there is now, because it's just gotten so popular. That pass has become absolutely renowned. But back in the day, yeah, like there used to actually be space between the boats. Now it just looks like a Walmart parking lot, and I've just I've become disenchanted with it because of that, and so I try not to mess with that anymore, even though I've been tempted to. But when I get in there, I'm like, nope, can't do it. It's just gotten too bad. Before, if you got too close to a boat, you would get yelled at and cursed out, it was loaded. The pass was loaded back then, but not like it is now. It looks like the mall now. It's just terrible. It's really loaded. And the way they fish the pass has changed too. A lot of people were just fishing live baits, just casting live baits back then, and now everybody's throwing chunk baits and stuff just about, and they're all lined up, the boats and stuff. And so the way people are catching tarpon too in the pass is definitely changed. One thing that is like kind of made Tampa Bay fishing more exciting. Some people are probably like, what the hell are you talking about when I say this? Is just the wild factor in it though. Like nowadays, Tampa Bay, I guess you could say this about all of the Gulf of Mexico from what I see and from what I hear. But it's just the wild, wild west out there. Like with the sharks, the barracudas, the Goliath groupers and stuff. Oh my God, like it just gets nuts and stuff. Like we have nowhere near the problem back then as we do now with sharks and Goliath groupers and stuff. Like, man, like, oh my God, like, like a shark stealing your fish is no big deal whatsoever. Before, back in the day, a shark steals your fish, and everyone's like, whoa, that was crazy, you see that shark, blah, blah, blah. And, there's confusion and chaos and excitement going on in the boat, and everybody's going nuts. And, now it's just like, oh, the sharks are here. Great, pack up and move to another spot. And then, boom, you get to another spot. Oh, the sharks are here again. Move. It's just like the sharks are out there like bait fish. Sharks have gotten completely out of control. And they've gotten really smart too. I think they've gotten a lot smarter. Heck, I even had a shark attack my trolling motor, a couple years ago. I was like, what the heck, man? I had 2 sharks attack it in one day. But sharks have just gotten nuts. Fortunately, the Goliath groupers, they have rebounded. Back a decade ago, their numbers were hurting, and I caught a few of them back then, and it was always mind blowing. It still is to this day to see a big, huge grouper like that. But you get a few hits. You get a few hits, you try to go for one, you get a few hits, maybe you get one, maybe you wouldn't. But now, heck, you drop a bonita down to the bottom, and it gets hit within 15 seconds. Like, what? It got hit just as quick as, it took longer for the thing to drop than it did to get hit. They're just all over the place. Shoot, I had a gag grouper get swallowed by a Goliath grouper at the surface in 60 feet of water. That Goliath grouper came up and just popped that gag grouper. Like, it's just, there is the Goliath groupers are way out of control too. but that's a good thing that they've rebounded and stuff. You know, manatees also, they're all over. The manatees are all over the place. Watch out when you're driving your boat, because I mean, you gotta watch out for them, because you could accidentally strike one. So be careful with them. Um, yeah. So another thing on the reefs that has definitely changed is the barracudas. And I've kind of theorized that with the invasion of sharks that we've had, they've kind of pushed those barracudas off the reef and stuff. Fortunately, I think the barracudas in the last couple years, from what I've seen, they have started to recover in numbers and stuff. But a long time ago, guys, oh my god, with the barracudas on these local wrecks and reefs, big. I mean, they were big. They were as long as that tarpon that's behind me right now. I'd show you a couple pictures. I mean, these bad boys were humongous. Now the barracudas and stuff out on the wrecks and reefs, they're kind of puny looking. I mean, you can catch them. You know, they're still fun, but we used to catch 5.5, 6 footers and stuff. There were some monsters out on those reefs, and you don't see those monsters anymore. They're definitely not out there like they used to be. Very few times do I see those really big ones, if ever. I always see a lot of smaller ones and stuff. Um, but you see fewer of them. But I do think that they are. I think they're coming back in numbers and stuff. But I think a lot of that is because of those sharks coming in, and they kind of pushed them off and stuff, and they just became the apex predator of the reefs and stuff. But yeah, guys, the golf now is, I mean, it's pretty darn exciting, and that's probably one of the reasons why I started my YouTube channel, is just because how exciting things are out there. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're throwing a a thread fin, or you're throwing a cigar minnow, or you're just throwing a little piece of squid, a little shrimp or something, or you got a big kingfish on, a bonito on, any game fish on, something is trying to eat something out there, and it's just a race to get that fish in. And it's, I mean, it's an adrenaline rush, you know. You see a 5 foot fish get eaten by a shark, I mean, or get swallowed by a jewfish. I mean, it's just crazy out there. Like I said, it's the Wild West now. We are truly in the Wild West days of fishing. uh so yeah, so I've been talking for a while now, and that's probably about all I can think of. I know I could think of some more, but I have to take my time. But I want to hear, and like I said, I probably talk a lot throughout this because I get pretty nostalgic about things. But I want to hear some of your fish stories. I'd love to read the comment section below. Tell me a story down below. Give me a fishing story. I want to hear some of the things you guys have to say, and maybe some opinions on my opinions. Let me know. So it was good talking to you guys, and I'll see you in the next one, guys. Peace.